Nearly 3,700 bears raised more than $1 million last year for the Lewes Polar Bear Plunge. And if you think that's impressive, that was only one of 32 years.
So we're heading into the 33rd year. All in total, they have raised over $15.7 million, money supporting thousands of local athletes across over a dozen different sports. So let's, sorry I had to say it, dive in. With us this afternoon, this is John Busby. You've met him before. He's the Director of Media Relations for the Lewes Polar Bear Plunge that benefits Special Olympics Delaware. We are so glad that you are back.
Glad to be here.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. You as well.
So this is some incredible growth over the years.
You know, 78 people jumped in that first year back in 1992, and we thought we hit a grand slam. And here we are.
And here you are.
33 years later.
That is amazing.
Thousands, it really is.
But really, over the years, and especially this past couple of years, the temperatures have been all over the place for the plunges.
40s last year, both the air and the water. And sometimes when the water is warmer, it makes it worse because when you run out, it's
let's go back in.
Let's go back in because it's colder.
There's a whole bunch more to it than just the plunge, though, right?
There is, yeah. It's become a weekend festival.
Yeah.
When we made the move to Rehoboth Beach, this originally started at Cape Henlopen State Park, but when we outgrew that and made the move, we decided to make it a weekend festival because so many people have beach houses, as you know, here in Delaware, and so they're going to be down here anyway. And so basically we've got your whole weekend planned. On Saturday there's a 5K, run to the plunge, or a walk. 10 o'clock, a fire and ice, which is wings and ice creams at 12 noon. And then the what's become really popular at 2:30 is the chili competition, where you, for $10, you get to walk around town and try up to 10 different chili places. And so we've got you covered the whole weekend. Or just come down Sunday morning and jump in with us then. So we tried to make it good for everybody.
And obviously safety is your #1 concern with this?
Always, and we couldn't do this without the support of law enforcement, the fire services, the ambulance services. I can honestly say, and I don't want to jinx it, this is the 33rd plunge. We've never had an emergency situation. We've had a couple sprained ankles and a couple things like that, but it's going to happen in the summer.
Right.
You know, and so it's just been an incredibly safe plunge, and a lot of people deserve a lot of credit for that, including the divers on the Delaware State Police who are in the water when people go in to make sure everybody goes in and everybody gets out safely.
Back out again. So we got the email from Steve Mons, who sat in for me yesterday. Steve, thank you. I appreciate everything that you were willing to do there. Steve is working on the Draper's Dippers, and he's looking for volunteers with the company. So we are more than happy to be a part of this. Tell us a little bit more about who it benefits.
Benefits thousands, more than 4,000 children and adults with intellectual disabilities who compete in 16 sports year-round. Also have a lot of health educational programming. And in our schools, the inclusion through the Unified Champion Schools program brings people with and without disabilities together at a very young age. And I always liken that experience to ice skating. If you get on ice skates when you're very young, you're not scared. But as we get older, to my age, I have no interest in getting on a pair of ice skates. It's the same thing with inclusion. If you learn very early on that people with disabilities are not much different than the rest of us, we all have our own quirks. You grow up together, you work together, you live together. And we have more than 150 schools throughout the state that are part of that program. And so every dime that is raised for this plunge, more than $15 million, as you mentioned, over the last 32 years, stays right here in the first state to benefit those folks.
That is so wonderful, and thank you for making that happen. Now let's talk about getting involved. How can I get involved in the plunge?
The plunge, the website is plungede.org, and you can sign up to run, you can sign up to plunge. All the other activities we talked about are there, or you can support someone, your team here at Draper Media. So there's lots of opportunities to support the plunge. There'll be more than 15,000 people on the boardwalk that day, not counting the close to 4,000 who will be going into the water. And so we use that as a great way to recruit bears for the following year. And so that would be another thing I'd suggest to people. If you don't want to go in the water, come out and support the event. And then once you're there, we have the Levin Matching Fund. We have a gentleman, Irv Levin, and his wife Phyllis, whose son has been in our program since he was 8 years old. He's now over 50. They match dollar for dollar every dime that they raise. And so he'll be out pedaling on the boardwalk that day. Last year, I think he brought in close to $7,000 in cash on the boardwalk, and he matched that. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm not going to plunge, I don't want to go in the water. Lots of other ways to support the more than 4,000 athletes here in the state of Delaware.
So you're going in the water this year.
We'll see. What day is it?
February 4th, always the first Sunday. In fact, the Super Bowl moved away from the first Sunday in February because of the conflict with the plunge.
Okay. There you go. John, thank you so much for coming in. It's good to see you.
Thank you.